Hello everybody and welcome to Vicky, Pattison, The Secret To. This week I am joined by Sunday Times bestselling author, social media sensation and penny pinching princess. It's Money Mum Official, everybody! Woo!
Thanks. I'm going to take you everywhere for my introductions from now on.
Like a master of ceremonies,
Yeah.
you can have me before you walk in any room.
Definitely.
How are you, Pet? Are you okay?
I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
Do you know what, mate? I've had a little bit of a shaky week. I was dead poorly at the start.
Oh.
That bug that's going around, it's just like a 24-hour thing, predominantly, like vomiting the other end and hot sweats, everything. But I recovered pretty fast. But then, like getting back into the swing of things with work's been awful because I'm still exhausted from it. It's just been. It's just been a bit of a. I think there's something going round, and I don't want to whinge because I think loads of people have got it. But yeah, it's floored me, lass.
Oh, that's not good. I had it last week, and then this week I've still not been that great. Just like more like throat, like glass was down my throat. It was awful.
Awful, mate. It's the time of year, I suppose, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
So I put that you were going to be coming on the podcast on my Insta, and naturally everybody was very excited, and obviously everyone's just asking the same things. I think. Have you noticed recently? Because obviously we're hearing a lot about this cost of living crisis. We're hearing a lot about. I mean, I felt like this entire year. And I don't know if it's just the age I'm at, but my friends are talking a lot more about money than they ever have before. Have you felt a shift in your Instagram followers? Do you feel like a lot of people are feeling the pinch?
I think there's definitely a lot more worry that I get in my inbox. Obviously, I've been doing this for 2 years. So this was before cost of living crisis was sort of out. But I've always been a believer that there's always been sort of a bit of a cost of living crisis. There's always been a debt problem in this country because we've always just been like, especially with social media, like they'll see like an influencer or a celebrity in something and people will just go and buy it because they'll think, oh, I want that, but without really sort of sitting down and thinking, well, actually, that influencer might be on hundreds of thousands of pounds a year, or that celebrity could have a, and then they'll go and buy it. And I think there's a lot of pressure, especially for young people, that they think that they can, just sort of buy things, because I don't believe it's not taught in schools enough. We don't talk about it enough. I could literally on this podcast say to you, how's things? When are you getting married? Do you want kids? Have you got any animals? I could ask you pretty much everything about your life. But if I said to you, Vic, how much do you earn a year? You'd be like, what? It's like a thing we don't talk about, money, isn't it? It's like that thing in the room that you cannot talk about. And I think where we're programmed not to talk about it so much, I actually think it's a bad thing in some ways, because we talk about everything. Weight gain you see on Instagram, you see everything. So when I sort of started my platform, no one was talking about money at all. But what I have noticed over the last year is everybody is now talking about money. So in some ways, I feel it may be a bit like, like when COVID hit, we realised what was more important in life. What was more important in life was seeing our friends, having a coffee, having a chat. It wasn't that Louis Vuitton handbag and the things that we all wanted before. It was more, actually people and just going out for dinner makes us really, really happy, which is, I think, what I've always been like. But I think that changed a lot of people's perspective. And I think with this cost of living crisis, and even the people that maybe aren't struggling because they earn good wages, are noticing a shift in money, and they're just looking at their money more. And there's more open and honest conversations like, do you know what? I can't really afford to go out for that meal. And I feel like it's a lot more accepted. Whereas before, I think people on a group WhatsApp chat, say you'd said, oh, all right, Gem, I'm going to go Vegas for my hen. Do you want to come? And you sent that to 20 people. There'll probably be 2-3 people on that chat that aren't in saying your situation or my situation, we're all different, that would feel so worried thinking, oh God, I can't say on the group chat that I can't afford to go. So make up another thing. Whereas I feel like now it's starting to be more like, hi Vic, I've not got the money to do that. I'm really sorry. And you'd be understanding and it would be okay. So in some ways, I'm hoping that goodness comes out of it and that we can start talking more about money and talking if we can't afford something, because there's literally nothing to be ashamed of if you haven't got the money. Like, we're all in different situations. There's always someone richer and there's always someone worse off than us. It's just life, isn't it?
Yeah, no, and you know what? You've said so many like things there that really made me think. And I'm always, like, anybody who listens to this podcast, mate, will tell you, like, I'm always saying I don't agree with what's taught in schools anymore. Like, I myself was, and this isn't coming from a place where it's like I didn't do well, so I'm fucking fuming, I love
You have done
school.
well.
But even at school, like, I was always really academic, and that's just how my brain works. You know, I love the written word. I love reading. And you know, that's me. So not as good, mind you, lass, at maths. I will hold my hands up there. That wasn't my strong suit. So no, so it's not from that place. I'm just actually concerned about what we're creating and the emphasis we place on what's important when like young adults are at school. And I think there's so much scope for improvement. And I'd love to see you know, different things being taught in schools, whether it be like money management or whether it be like just basic life skills, you know, like how to do your taxes, how to get like how to go about getting a mortgage. Because even as a 34-year-old woman, still sometimes like every day is a school day, if you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
when it comes to finances. And I think that's a crime.
It's really important because we teach, pie charts in school and other things like that, and maths, and even like there's religious education. And obviously, I do think all religions should be taught in schools, and children should learn about it, but maybe not weekly, maybe drop that.
Yeah.
Because if the child's not particularly interested in that, like money is something that is going to affect every single solitary
Yeah.
person. Like, it doesn't matter what background, who you are, money does link us all. And it was really interesting. I asked some teenagers a little while ago, I pointed at a house and I said, there was only like 3 or 4 of them around, my friends. And I said to him, how much do you think that house is worth? The range was from 5 million to 50,000.
But then again, lass, I reckon if you ask my pals down south, no, sorry, I reckon if you ask my pals up north, like that same question about a house down south, they'd totally not have a clue either. Like, I don't think it's just teenagers. Like, I think we're all a bit lost. I
Yeah, and I
really,
just thought, wow, like it was just really interesting. And then I said to them about a mortgage, and they were like, oh, you just borrow the money. And I said, do you realise you have interest on it? They were like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, say like say you bought a house for 200,000, you'd basically pay back pretty much double, like whatever it is at the time, 400,000, just for example. They were like, what do you mean? What? You have to pay extra, but if the house is only 200, so why are you paying extra? And I was like, because that's the cost of borrowing money. It's called interest. They were like, and I said, and if the interest rate is higher, you borrow more, so then that house effectively costs you more over time. And then I was like, and if you like chipped away at it and paid an extra £20 a month, £30 a month before you've got kids and things like that, when it really racks up, if you've got 2 of you working, you can pay off a couple of years of your mortgage. They were all like, what? And I just thought, this isn't being taught. Like, it's to me, it's so important. And just to talk to them about things like, when they're getting in, if they get into debt, it's fine. It's okay to tell someone. You can go and speak to somebody. The world has not ended because you're in debt. There's dramatic things you can do and wipe your debt at the end of it. Do you know what I mean? But the people are like, the suicide rate is up on debt and things like that. And it is literally heartbreaking that I still feel that some people, just don't feel they can talk about it.
yeah. And you're so right. Like, over the last couple of years, I've noticed a real improvement in what we feel comfortable in talking about, you know, because I'm a dead honest person, me. So nothing's off the table when it comes to chat. But like when you said that before, when you went, and then I'd say to you, how much do you earn? That made my insides go funny. Like it was I went up at my bum hole, went, "Ah!" And I was like, that is the only thing I don't want to talk about. And I don't know why. So over the years, we've learned that it's okay to talk more about mental health, and hopefully we're taking huge, great, big strides in that arena. We're learning it's okay to talk about your bodies as women. You know, weight goes up, weight goes down. Sometimes we have periods. That's incredible. It's okay to learn to love ourselves. All these things, we're making so much progress. But in that sort of space, in the money, like what we earn, what other people earn, not having it, that is where we are. I think really falling, like we've not sort of progressed at all. And that would be wonderful out of this dark time that we're all potentially facing and these like difficult couple of months, couple of years, whatever it may be, you know, if we could all learn to be a little bit more candid and a little less ashamed. I reckon things like the stigma surrounding, you know, not having as much money or god, debt, suicide and things, it might go away a bit, you know.
Yeah, I definitely think so because I suffer with mental health hugely. I'm really open about it. I'm really real worrier. Um, I didn't do well at school. I'm really badly dyslexic. I'm very new to Instagram. You know what I mean? So, but I think I've always been sort of someone that reached out for help. Like I sort of reached out to you, didn't I? I said, oh, but what do you do on Instagram? And that's how I got talking to you. And I think a lot of people feel like maybe they can't reach out, even if it is someone that's a celebrity or someone. Whereas I've always been like, well, no, like I can ask that person. Why does that? why is that person any better than me because they've been on a TV show or they've done this? But I feel sometimes around money, I really do notice, I still do feel there is a massive divide between people that are wealthy or people that maybe think they're better than other people. I go to a lot of events and I walk into rooms and I feel it. I feel the people there that have maybe done better in life do look down on other people, and it's horrible. And I
Yeah.
felt that. I go into rooms and I said to you how lovely you were and how approachable you were and how beautiful you were on the voice notes, and I mean that.
Oh,
I'm very open and honest. Like, you were just like, I just messaged my friend and said, hi, like, I feel like I could message you, phone you anytime. And that's really nice. And that's what I really would love to change. Like, just everyone not, somebody not thinking they're better than that person, maybe because they've got a better job or they're a celebrity or they've done better, because they're lucky then. You're lucky to be in that position and have that
yeah.
dream job. Do you see what I mean? So why would you
Yeah.
then speak down to someone that's serving you a coffee? Because guess what? You need them to serve you your coffee because you want it. You need somebody serving you your food in the supermarket, because if nobody did that job, then you wouldn't be able to buy food. So I do think there is still a divide, and not with everybody, but there is still a lot of people that there is a divide, and that they're social climbing, and we don't mix. And I do think it's the one thing we've not cracked, talking about money and blending more as people. And it's so much more interesting to have friends of all different walks of life, I think, anyway.
No, you're so right. You are. You speak a lot of sense, mate. I feel like if you had a podcast, I'd listen to it, you know. Like, no, I absolutely, no, like, I think now more so than ever, last, like, people are, right. So let's put this into perspective, right? I'm not like shy at all about like the fact that I use my Instagram, I monetize it, you know, it's a huge part of how I make money. And I've always been honest with everybody. If you come on my Instagram, you're going to see loads of my own life. You're going to see loads of Milo, loads of Erkan, loads of lovely Mavy, gorgeous fab outfits. Love, you're going to see some period bits, you know, you're going to see me whinging about being hungover, me whinging about having a bad day, about talking about my mental health. You're going to see it all, but you are going to have to see some ads.
Yep.
You know, that is my life, right?
Same as
And
me.
yeah, the majority of people who follow me, I couldn't ask for better followers. Like, they're absolutely sick. Like, people are so lovely, so relatable. Like, I chat to so many people in me DMs, and everyone's lovely. And then every once in a while, I'll do an ad or something, and it just, for some reason, irritates the life out of people. Like, and I don't mind if people think, "Oh, yeah, she guns again, fucking trying to flog something. I'm not liking it." That's fine. You know, that's absolutely fine. You reserve the right to like whatever you want, and and reserve the right to not like what you want on
Absolutely,
social
yeah.
media. But recently, right, I have noticed this huge like rise in whenever I post something that is an ad, people are agitated. They're furious. Like, um, most people can't afford this, and how dare you be posting this when some people are choosing between putting their heating on and feeding their kids. And honestly, I've been really struggling about how to deal with it, Jem, because I'm like, I I want to be liked. I have this pathological desire.
I
Like,
think we
anybody
all
who knows,
do deep down. Again, I
yeah,
think it's an honesty. Of course we do. No, you don't want to walk off and someone go, "Oh, she was horrible," do you?
what not bad. No, of course not. Like, nobody wants that. But even on my social media, and I've had to accept over time, you know, I'm never gonna people please me way into collective acceptance. Like, some people are just on there because they fucking really want to dig me out, and that's fine. And it's not the majority, so I live with it. But I really struggled with that because I thought, you know, I know what we're going into is probably going to be quite a difficult couple months or years for quite a lot of people. And I'm doing all I can in terms of like working with soup kitchens, trying to raise awareness, like working with brands who I think are conscious of this too. But every so often, like, I am going to have to put myself first and think about how to make money for my family, because it's not just Erkan and Milo relying on me. Like, my sister works for me, my mum works with me. Like, I have a lot to think about, you know? So yeah, so I thought about what I was going to write back to all these people. And honestly, I ended up just in tears over it, because
Mm.
would they walk in to like say, I don't know, a new look, and go to Remember a Staff? You're a fucking disgrace. Like, how dare you sell clothes when there's people choosing between putting food on the table and putting the heating on? And I thought, you wouldn't, would you? Because that would be mental. But you thought it was okay to come and attack me in my space of work. And I don't know. I want to know if I'm doing something wrong, if you think there's ways I can be more sympathetic, because honestly, I think it's pretty much a sign of things to come, because some people are angry, aren't there, about this?
Yeah, what I always do, and I feel like I've got a real good answer for you to this, because I think we all worry about
I'm
it.
so fucking
We'll have a little
pleased.
chat. Is the way I look at it is, I give my money tips like you give your lifestyle when you have a laugh on there and you give advice and talk about mental health and all these amazing things that you do yourself and that I do. You can't go to work for nothing. You have to live, right? It's factual. So I give my money tips for free. I don't ask for anything from my followers. And then I work with certain brands that I like. There's lots of things I turn down and I don't do because it doesn't fit me. I don't agree with it, or I get the product and I'm like, I don't like that. I wouldn't, but then again, I would never run that company down and show them because they've got to earn a living. But I also think as well is all these businesses as well, they're having to stay afloat. They have to survive. So, for example, at the moment, I'm working with Skin and Me. I think they're absolutely fantastic.
So am I.
They are absolutely amazing, right?
How lovely are Skin and
How lovely
Me?
is Skin and Me? And you click the thing, and I think it's brilliant. And but what
For
I always
waste.
want to work,
But that, sorry, I'm so, and this is
I
not
love
mad.
Skin and Me. I know.
But it's because it's less wasteful, right?
Yeah. And I think it's a fantastic product. You don't have to buy loads of products. And I always work with brands for me that fits me. So I always ask for a discount code because I'm money mum. So whatever I'm doing, I want a discount code on. I want to try it. And then I always sort of say, especially at the moment, I say like, this isn't going to be for everybody, but this is a product that I use on my skin. I absolutely love it. I've got a trial on for £3.50. If you like it, great. If you want to try it, this is the time to try it because there's money off. But also that company has to work. That company still has to keep going and they have to employ people. So you're not doing a bad thing. So if you're promoting New Look and you didn't like their clothes, then that's when I think you're in the wrong. That's when I think you're not a good influencer. But if you're working with a company like, for example, we both said we love Skin and Me, and you're showing that, and for example, my end is a discount code, and your end you're talking about the skin or how it's making you feel mental health wise, then you're doing nothing wrong there, and you're helping people maybe get a product, and no one has to buy anything. And I think it's all to do with I haven't had. I've had obviously loads of people be horrible to me, and I think I'm a bit older than you as well. I'm in my 40s, and I only started this 2 years ago.
Well, you fucking don't look it. Is that Skin and Me as well?
That's
There,
Skin
lass?
and
You're
Me.
grand.
That's a bit of Botox. I'm not going to lie. Never lie about anything, and I openly show that when I go away because I can't stand that about other influencers. They're like, "Oh, I look young," and I always think, "No, you look young because you've got Botox."
Tell it like it is,
Because
girl.
I
Oh,
have.
no.
When they say you look young, yes, I look young because I've got Botox, and I say because obviously at the moment I can afford to get Botox, so I get it. But I don't think you should get it if you can't afford it. It's a luxury. So again, I think I'm just really open and honest. And when I do ever get anybody be mean or a bit nasty, or they say untrue things, I get lots of just rubbish said. I just sit there and I think. I don't know them. They would never walk over to me in the street and say these nasty things. And if I've got 300,000 followers and over the year I've had 20 bad comments, that's not even 1% of my audience. So I just think to myself, you've got a choice to follow someone or not comment. Like if I didn't like something you posted, I'd never be mean to you and say I don't like that. I just wouldn't comment or like it, Vicky. And I just think, in real life, if I walked into your home and went, don't like that jumper you got on, everyone in the room would be like, oh my God, Vic, why are you friends with Gemma? She's horrible to you. Like, what the hell? What's wrong with her? She's got mental problems. Like, she's not normal. And that's basically what it is. They're obviously really unhappy or they're really angry at the world. They don't hate Vicky Pattison for posting a New Look ad. They're just peed off and they've gone on. They want to be horrible and they know it's going to get to you. And the problem is if you do sit there crying, and I know it's easy said and done because I've got the worst anxiety in the world, you are letting them win. And why should we let them in their headspace? Like, do you know what I do? I don't Google myself at all. I don't look at anything
I'm
ever.
forever Googling myself. I do need to get a life.
And if I get a really nasty comment on my Instagram, do you know what I do? Delete it because I don't want to see it. I don't need it in my life. And I don't care if anyone sees I've deleted it. I do not care. I'm 41. I could be dead tomorrow. You're being deleted. If you don't like me, I am literally on my Instagram sharing my family and giving money tips every day. I do nothing nasty to anybody. If you don't like them, you've got the mental issue, not me.
Yeah.
And that's the way I look at it. And maybe that is because I'm a bit older. And 2 years ago, I was earning 15 grand a year, really, really struggling. And I always wanted to be famous or on TV or presenting. And again, you mustn't say that out loud, that you want to be famous or present. I did. I'm fascinated by it. Like I asked you, I was like, what's it like? Oh my goodness. I would love to do all this. And I absolutely am enjoying it. I'm having the absolute time of my life. I'm so enjoying it. Like, who would have thought 2 years ago if somebody had said to me, like, my first husband left me over 10 years ago and I had absolutely nothing at 29. If you'd have tapped me on the shoulder when you was in that show and said, do you know you're going to be chatting to me in 10 years? I'd have said, you've fallen and banged your head, love, like, and you're going to have a book out. And so anything can happen. So I just think you have to enjoy every moment that you're doing. You've got a fantastic job. We're both very, very lucky to have our jobs. And even if you worked in an office, you are going to have bits where you absolutely hate, where they're going to say, you can have your lunch 1 till 2. And you think, I don't want my lunch 1 till 2. I want it 12 till 1 because I'm hungry. So our side of it is people are going to be nasty to us, but we can have our lunch when we want. That's the way I look at it. So it's just something you've got to deal with, but you've got the rest of your job you really like. So if you try and look at it like that, like, oh, that side of my, but just literally just delete it and just block them. Just block them and don't Google yourself would be my best advice. And if you like the product, do it, advertise it, but make sure it's true to you. Don't just advertise the world, because yes, you do need to earn money. And I say, I've got an ad on, can you support it? And you know, and I try and do giveaways on my stories. If I've earned off an ad, I try and give back a little bit. So I think, okay, I'm going to give some coffees away, or I'm going to give them some food vouchers to get their food shop in Tesco's at the moment and things like that. So I'll do like, I've got an ad on. If you support it, guys, I'm going to give 4 of you some vouchers to go food shopping because I want to give back. So if I've earned a little bit, I can then give back to my followers a little bit. So that's what I do at the moment.
That's really nice. Okay. I want to do something similar. I'm going to copy. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course. Well, I've copied it from Mr. Beast. You know that massive YouTuber, and he's a billionaire. You need to Google him. Mr. Beast. He's really famous, and basically he does. I mean, I'm not that wealthy. I can only sort of do a few amount. I'm not at Mr. Beast level, but he will give away like £100,000, and he'll say on his YouTube video he's going to earn £1 million off of it. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to earn that on an ad. But he'll say, oh, I'm going to give away 500,000 of it. So he's making and everyone's enjoying it, but he's also giving back. And when I watched that, I thought, I really like that idea. I'm going to do that. And someone trolled me for that. You're doing that to get engagement. Yes, I am on my ad, so my ad does well, but I'm also giving back. If I give you £1 million, you're going to troll me. So you cannot win with some people. So don't try. Don't try and win. There's no point.
That's it. Honestly, I am totally going to do that. And the little giving away some weekly shops. I think that's such a lovely idea.
Especially if you get sent, you know, like sometimes we're doing like I'm doing F&F at the minute. I love this stuff. You might get sent.
I've just seen your coats.
Yeah, how nice is that coat? I'm not giving that away. I'm not going to lie. I want it for myself. I really like it.
Don't blame me. It's fucking lush.
It's really nice. I thought that this morning. Honestly, this is truthful. I thought this morning, but where I am, Money Mum, I thought, oh no, it's a coat. They're quite expensive, and I really like that. I'm going to keep that for myself. And who wouldn't? You know, like when they say to you, would you like to take your kids on a free holiday? Someone messaged me once saying, oh, I can't believe you've done that. So I said, with all due respect, a year ago, I was on 15 grand a year. If someone offered you a free holiday, would you not take your children then? Oh, well, yeah, I would. I said, well, don't please say to me.
Fuck off then.
Yeah, of course I'm going to take Brody and Bronte. I'm going to give him the best opportunity. If you said to me, oh, Gemma, I've got a spa, would you like to come for the day, Erkinspan? I'd be like, oh, lovely. Yeah, I would, Vic. Thanks. Let's have a freebie on your other half. Is he to ask him tonight for a free spa for me? So Jem would like a freebie. Have you got something going?
You're barking up the wrong tree, mate, if you think he's fucking treating you to anything. Erkan is the nicest man in the world, but he's he's thoughtful in mad ways, Jem. Like, we could get into it, but it's definitely not that surprising as with a spa day type. He's more like the, I've hoovered.
Better though, really, right?
Yeah, that's the romance I get. Babe, I've absolutely loved talking to you in part 1. I'm going to have a quick break. I'm desperate for a wee, and then we'll have you back in part 2.
Love talking to you too, Vic.
Hello everybody and welcome back to part 2 of Vicky Pattison The Secret 2. This week I am joined by, you'll probably know her as Money Mum on Insta, but I know her as Gem. Mate, I feel like we just launched in to so many questions in the first half because I genuinely was just interested in chatting to you, to be honest.
We like a chat.
We do. There's no bother with it. Ela, me, producer, was like, do you think you've got enough questions? I was like, I fucking think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine. I think she'll just chat, and I love that. But for anyone who's sort of been living under a rock, potentially doesn't follow you on Insta, you are a mum of 2 who lives in Billericay and you live mortgage free, which actually when I read that, Gem, I didn't even know that about you. And I was like, fucking hell, Jesus, that's amazing. But you have managed to do this all and you've never earned like sort of more than 25 grand a year. I think that is, and I say this a lot on this podcast because I get like, I'm so fortunate. I get really lovely people, really inspirational people. But that to me is very impressive, Gem.
Thanks.
Very impressive. As someone who, like in my walk of life, in my industry, I think there's quite ostentatious, quite frivolous people. And like, listen, each to their own. I'm not here to sort of like cast judgment on anybody. I consider myself like relatively frugal. I only buy myself like a nice handbag if I've done like a big show or something that I think I was away from my family a lot, something where I feel like I've earned it
There's
or
nothing
something.
wrong with that.
Yeah, but like I don't drive, so no fancy car.
Don't you?
Like, nah, mate, I really should learn because I'm in the arse end of nowhere currently where I live.
Shocked
They
about
make me,
that.
I know I'm really at like the mercy of sort of Deliveroo and stuff and Uber. But yeah, I just don't waste my money, I don't think. But then I seen that about you and I thought, no, I've got something to fucking learn from her. I really I do. I think we all have something to learn. So I know this is a super broad question and it's probably gonna send your head into a spin, but I want to know what your top 5 money saving tips are.
Right, okay. So my first one would be is it's this sounds a really obvious one, but I poll this all the time and most people don't do it, is if I said to you right now, what do you have coming in a month? Or you're self-employed, so it's a little bit harder, but to 99% of people, the people that aren't self-employed, they'll go £2,800 after tax. I go, what goes out? Uh well, my mortgage is a grand. Well, yeah, I've got me gas and electric, that's just gone up. And then they'll list their bills, and I'll say, okay, you haven't said to me your Sky TV, your Netflix, your prescription that you buy a dress every month on, your petrol that you put in your car, the food that you put on your table. And then people are like, what? And I'm like, they are your absolute outgoing. So my best tip would be write everything that comes, so you write your amount that comes in and write the amount that goes out and see what you're left with. My second tip would then be go through your statements and see if you've got a trend. If you say you've got no money, are you going to McDonald's 3 times a week? I've done this with people and they're like, oh my God, I'm spending £200 a month on Starbucks when I actually added it up. This is
I bet that's so common.
so
I
common. On
I don't drink coffee, so I feel like I've kind of missed that. I've missed that one, and I feel really
You don't
grateful
drink
for it.
coffee?
No, I know I shock everybody with it, mate. I mean, I've got me vices. She loves a glass of wine, but no, I've never drank coffee, so I feel like I've escaped that really expensive fancy coffee trend, and
Yeah,
I'm
because
buzzing
I
off
love
it.
coffee. That is one of my things. So that would be a definite thing. I would say is check your ingoings and your outgoings. Write them all down. Make sure you've got them. You know where you are with them. Check any patterns and cancel subscriptions you're not using. And go into let me think of the name of it. Give me 1 second and I'll think of it. It's Google something. I did it on my Instagram the other day, a reel on it, but it's something like Google cancel your subscriptions or report your subscriptions, and you go into the back end of it, your subscriptions, and you can actually get a refund on subscriptions that you'd forgotten about cancelling. If you see my reel, you'll see more information on it. But basically, what you do is you go in there, and people have said, "Oh, I've got about £50," or "I didn't even know I had this coming out every single month." Like every single person always has one of those. If you're like a big online spender, a really good tip is install a device called Honey into your computer. So it's basically like an extension. So when you're shopping, if you're putting things into your bag and you're then looking around for like voucher codes, voucher clouds, all these different things, what it does is it automatically searches all these sites for you and puts the discount code in the basket. So it'll be like, Honey has found a code for you, and it'll just add it. This has saved you £5, and it has saved me probably thousands over the years. It just does it
Oh my
automatically
god,
for you.
that's so good! I'm gonna get that straight away. Honey, right? Just like
Honey.
HONEY.
Yeah, like you eat honey.
Yeah.
So make sure you do that. Another good tip, and I've always harped on about this, is if you live on your own. When I lived on my own, one of the reasons how I paid my mortgage off was obviously a mixture of investments and savings. It wasn't just because I earned a low income; it was the small amount that I earned. I invested into some properties, and obviously they went up in value. But also, I rented out my spare room to a student when I lived with my first partner, and we're going back. God, I'm going to show my age now, about 24 years. But we got £80 a week at the time. for a spare room because we were just a young couple. So if you're a young couple and struggling, obviously the rates have gone up a lot more from £80 a week. But looking at things at doing things like that, or if you are renting and you're going to rent a 1-bedroom flat, look at renting a 2-bedroom flat because sometimes it's only £300 a month more. You can then lease that bedroom out and charge them £800 a month more. So they're basically covering all your bills for you. So that's a really good one. And if you've got a home, look at anything you can rent. So I rent my driveway out because I'm near Billericay town. So I rent it out because it's literally free money. And funnily enough, like, I've got really friendly with him now. Like, he's cut Adam's hair and stuff.
Free haircuts as well.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, you are flying.
So like he parks on the drive, and I do it for a company because just be careful on that with insurances, and you've got to say that, but just be careful. But just always thinking of extra ways to make money. And another tip I would always give, which again it does sound really obvious, is sell the old to replace the new. So say you wanted a new sofa in the background there. So many people go, oh, I can't bother to get rid of it. I'm just going to think, no, put it on the Facebook Marketplace. Someone will come round, take it for you so you haven't got to pay for delivery. So even if you don't want it anymore, you're going to have to pay for someone to take it away on a skip. Just say sofa for free, and then you're still getting it done for free. So whether you want to sell it or you want to give it away, it's doing things like that, selling the old to replace the used. So I never used to buy things. And look at as well, if you're buying and selling a lot on sort of eBay, Vinted, Facebook marketplaces. When Brody and Bronte were younger, I used to do things like, Moncler, it's a really expensive brand, right?
Yeah.
And both my kids had Moncler coats. And my friend was a bit like, wow, like, I wouldn't expect you to pay out for one of those. And I was like, well, basically, I got Brody's for £100. It'd been worn once. And Bronte's for £100, right? What I did, because basically I used to buy them from Next at like 50 quid, the winter coats. And then when I come to resell them, I'd only make a tenner. No one would buy them because they're not really bothered. So basically what I did was I kept the Moncler coats. I kept them for 2 years after they wore them because then they were discontinued. And I sold both of them for £180 each. So the kids wore them for 3 years and then I make a profit. So sometimes look at buying designer, but buy designer second hand, hold on to it, and then when they're not selling it anymore, resell it on. So like if you want to buy your kids like Ralph Lauren tops, Hugo Boss tops, just buy them on eBay. Like I get Brody like Moncler like long sleeve tops that are like £150 for like £25 on there because people have screwed them up, put them on the floor, no one bids. I get them, wash them, iron them, put them on a nice wooden hanger, nice lighting. Think of it like a shop. You go for double the money, and your kids worn it for 2 years. So that's another good tip. So I do that a
That is
lot. So when you see my kids in
great.
designer clothes, there's a reason I'm making money out of it.
That's mad to me. It does actually kind of bring me on to my next question, right? Because I'm looking at your Instagram. I've seen, you're always harping on about Primark, which, by the way, I absolutely love also. You've got your latest reel on there about like winter coats at Florence and Fred. There's a lot of negativity surrounding fast fashion at the moment, Do you think the ability to shun that is a very middle class thing?
I think at the moment people are choosing between heat and eat. They can't think of absolutely everything, unfortunately. Of course,
Yeah.
we want everything perfect in the world. We want all the boxes being ticked. But I also think if you're selling that coat on or you're giving it to a friend, then they're getting use out of it as well. I hold on to staple things for a long time, but if I'm wearing a little outfit out because of Instagram, let's be honest, once you've had the photograph in it, I'm just being honest and I'm money mum, you don't want to wear the bleeding thing again. So look at things like back in my day, there was no Instagram, obviously, because I'm 41.
Yeah.
I'd be coming around yours and say you'd wore that 1 week to the pub, I'd be like, oh, Vicky, I want to borrow your dress this week. And then you'd borrow mine. So look at
Well,
swapping clothes.
me and my mates did it all the time, mate. And I swear
Swapping.
to God, it got we through our teens and 20s
Yeah.
because we had no money.
So even do things like that. So if you are looking for tops, I do, and clothes and new outfits, especially if they're one-off pieces. Say like you're getting married and you're coming to that thing, you think I'm never going to wear that dress again because I'm going to put photographs on it. Vicky's going to put photographs on it, and I'm never going to wear that dress again. So yeah, that's a really good one. Is like buy secondhand for that. Sometimes people list them like with worn once with tags, like they're literally worn once. So I think that's a really good way around it. And then I do think shops like F&F, I mean they've been really up in their game recently. Are fantastic. Like they do really good. The quality is good and the price isn't ridiculous, so it lasts a long time. With shops like Primark, I think they're great for like if you go on holiday and you want your vest tops, but they don't last long. So, but I think a lot of the supermarket brands actually have really got long. Is it longevity? The word longevity in them. So if I buy something from there, the coat's really in that last. So sometimes it is best to pay an extra £5-10 because you're going to get wear out of it in a long time, especially things like winter coats and things. But I think if it's a fashion piece, a fast fashion, I would definitely not spend the earth on it.
Yeah. No, you're so right. I suppose recently there's been a real rise in rentals. And it's been something like I've thrown me support behind because actually, like, I always feel guilty about what you've said, like Instagram culture, wearing something once it's been seen, even if you loved it, you're kind of like beholden to this sort of like, I suppose, like stigma that you can't wear it again. So I always feel guilty in fast fashion and stuff. But yeah, I've been renting from this place called Higher Street. They're based off North. They're absolutely class. There's even like designery ones.
Yeah.
There's one called Dicey, My Wardrobe, which is Harrods one. There's loads of brilliant ones. You must be like throwing your support behind that, surely.
I absolutely love it. When I first started, I talked about it a lot. Especially as you say, like the rental dresses for weddings and things like that. So if you do want a
Mm,
really nice handbag, you can rent handbags. I think it's My Wardrobe HQ is a really
yeah,
good
that's
one.
it.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, you can rent. Like if you see a celebrity in a Celine dress or something, and if you can rent them for like what you'd buy them for, and it's great because it's not being wasted. You're getting to feel amazing and special for a day you dress you would never wear, and you don't have to think, oh, it's rented, because it's kind of like you're renting it if you're just buying it and not wearing it again anyway. And
And
don't and I did a reel the other day as well. It was one dress 5 ways. So try not to worry about like not wearing it again, because I wore it as a shirt, I wore it as a coat, I wore it as a thing. Like all my main things I do wear over and over and over again. And if you're going to a thing and it's different friends there and you did love it, then I definitely wear it again. Like if it's something I really like, I do. I think, well, I really liked that, so I'm going to wear it again.
yeah,
So yeah, I think that's another really good point. I think trying to make it with a different look. So maybe like put a blazer on with it or wear it with a bag. Like I've got a jumpsuit I wore the other week with trainers and it's really dressy with a jacket. And then I
yeah,
wore it to another event where I wore it. I've worn it about 4 times on my Instagram. Not one person has said to me, "Oh, you've worn that
yeah.
4 times." No one has.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, if we're all trying to like help the environment, we're all trying to save money, we're all fearing of like like rising cost of living. We should be being less bothered about wearing stuff twice. Like, I saw Carol Vorderman the other day, and she was talking about re-wearing all of her old red carpet looks. Like, I think this year to the Pride of Britain, she wore something she'd always worn before, and I thought, you know what, Vorders? Not only are you a fucking legend, but you've got me thinking. So I was half going to wear because I was really struggling to find something for the Pride of Britain. Needn't have worried because I was shitting myself the night of it anyway. I couldn't get off the toilet and I couldn't go. So no, but I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna wear the dress I wore for my engagement party because it was beautiful, and I only got to wear it the once, and I was like, I think I'm gonna do it, and I was all fired up to be like really like an eco warrior and following Border's footsteps, and yeah, then I was
Oh,
just
but yeah,
vomiting
exactly. Like if
anyway.
you love that dress, like really, and actually, it's probably you, as in me. We're the ones that are thinking about it, but I probably wouldn't even remember it, and I'd go, "Oh, Vic, I love your dress." Like I wouldn't overthink it. It's probably only us as a person that overthinks it. Like you've not gone. Oh my god, she's worn that. Did you see Money Mum wore that navy jumpsuit again? Do you know what I mean? You're not sitting on your Instagram saying that, are you? You've probably never even noticed I've worn it 4 times, because sometimes you'll see
No,
my stories and the next day you won't. So do you see what I mean? Like, yeah, like I think if you want to wear something, wear it, and don't be worried about buying secondhand, like, or getting something on the cheap. And as I say, and if you don't want to wear it again, then make sure you're selling it on and you're recycling it. And there's lots of recycle places as well you can take your clothes to, which is great. H&M do it, Marks and Spencers do it, and places like that do it, and you get vouchers for taking it in. So if you go into like H&M and you take a bag of clothes, you get £5 voucher. And Marks it's called like a Sparks reward, so you'll get something like a reward. So you can and it doesn't have to be the clothes from that shop either. And you can do it with recycled bottles as well in a lot of places. So like your empty makeup things. If you take things back into Mac do it. Who else does it? I think Boots do
yeah.
it. Yeah.
I've seen Mac. If you take them something like 5 lipsticks or something, they'll like the empty things. They'll give you a free one,
Yeah, it's
right?
brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because then you're recycling it and you're getting something back. So always Google things like that. And I always say it wrong, shoe or skew. If you take your old
sure.
shoes in, even if they're battered, so like Brody's school shoes, basically he goes, I think he eats them. He has them on for about a day, and I feel like he needs a new one. He's a boy, so it's constant. But you take it in, even if they're battered, they give you a fiver off towards your old ones, and then they go and recycle them. How good's that?
No, that is amazing. Oh, honestly, I feel like I always say this in my outro, like make sure you're following so and so, but I'm just gonna say it now. So like make sure you're following Gem Money Mum for like more of these tips
Oh,
because
thanks, Vic.
I'm gonna keep a more eagle eye on your like page from now on because this has been really illuminating for me. Um, lastly, before I let you go, and ask you secret, of course. Um, Christmas is coming up, and I think the festive period is often a bit of a financial concern for loads of people, and like we're all just trying to have a really nice time, give the best for our kids, our families, and everything. But I wanted to know if you just had any top thrifty tips for it for like people with it coming up.
Definitely. So I always think, remember, it's one day and it's going to be over like that. It's mainly
Yeah.
for the little ones, and it's not for you. Yes, it's lovely if you get that lovely bag under the tree. I'm not going to lie, we all obviously want something lovely, but don't get yourself in debt for a day, because you'll be paying it off all throughout the year and you're putting yourself on the back foot. Also, remember, it is basically a Sunday roast. You can only eat and consume a certain amount of food in one day. When you eat a Sunday roast, you don't then in the evening think, I'm going to get out 8 million choices of a buffet now, and we finished eating an hour ago. Because when you look at that buffet pretty much every year, does it get eaten? No. So try and reduce food waste, because that's another huge. I never waste any food. I'm a real, oh my God, I hate food waste. So try and maybe cut back. And also, if you've got all the family coming over, Uncle Bill, Joe, and everyone, and you're the one doing it every year, then literally ring up Uncle Bill and say, I'm sorry, I can't do it this year. You're going to have to bring the cheese board. You're going to have to bring the smoked salmon. And push out all the expensive things so that you're only buying the veg. Give someone the salmon, give someone the cheese. I always do that. What do you want to bring? If you can bring the smoked salmon and prawns, if you can bring the cheese, if you can bring the turkey, I'm going to do the potatoes and veg. Money, that's a definite money tip. Delegate the expensive items to the rest of the people. But no, jokes aside, like get everybody to chip in. Also, I would say if you are buying for 10, 20 people and you cannot afford to do it, and everyone's going to get pretty much a useless present that they're not even going to care about, like a bath bomb or something. Not that a bath bomb's nasty. I like a bath bomb, but you know what I mean. Within reason,
Yeah.
have a conversation on your family WhatsApp chat and say, look, I'm going to spend about 200 quid on buying for everyone. Why don't we all do 50 quid or 20 quid or 100 quid, whatever you want to do. I'm not saying what's right or wrong. And I'm going to buy for Vicky this year, and Vicky's going to buy for
Yeah.
Adam, and Ercan's going to buy for Brody. Do you know what I mean?
Like the Secret Santa
Yeah.
vibe.
So
Where
even
you've
it doesn't
yeah.
even have to be secret. Like you're just all buying the one gift. So every adult gets a lovely gift. As I say, you can pick the amount, even if it's £1,000 you want to pick, whatever you want to do. And there's no right or wrong. And I would say for the kids, especially if you've got kids under 5, I remember saying to Brody, he was about 5, I said, what do you want for Christmas? He went, 20 presents. I went, what? He went, 20 presents. Bear in mind he's 5. I went, okay, what do you want? He went, slime, bugs, everything. So I thought, okay, mate. I went into Poundland and I bought him 20 things for £1, and that's all I bought him that Christmas. You might think, oh, me, mum. No, I was on 15 grand a year. He had the best Christmas ever because he was like, oh my God, look at all these presents. He just wanted amounts to open, the unwrapping. That's all he wanted to do. So always think of young children. They don't know that it's cost £300-400. So just don't, focus on the
Don't
little
kill
ones.
yourself for it,
Yeah, if you came round now and you walked in my house and you bought Brody and Bronte a packet of Smarties each, they wouldn't know who the hell you were. Like you'd been on Judy Shows. They're children. Do you know what I mean? As in, like they don't know about life or anything like that. And even if I told Brody, he'd be like, right, he's 10. He'd have no. He'd just be like, oh my God, I well like her. Can we go around Vicky's house? She said she's got dogs and she's going to give me Smarties. Do you know what I mean? They don't want anything from you. They're not. They're kids. They just want the best, which is so lovely. Which is what I like about people. They're like an animal, they just want care, love, and attention, and that's so nice. They're not,
and that is free.
and it's free. Yeah, they're the best.
Oh, me. I have a question, and it's not from anyone on Instagram. It's just directly from me. Martin Lewis.
Yeah.
Right. Well, obviously, because you're into your money saving and he's into his money saving. Like, is he your ultimate man crush?
He's absolutely amazing. He followed me the other day, and this is, oh my God, I've got to tell you this story.
Were you buzzing?
Buzzing? I was in Tesco's doing an ad, funnily enough, and I looked down and it said, Martin Lewis has started following you. I said to Adam, oh my God, because this is what I go like. I then didn't have the signal. I went, go. He's like, what's the matter? I did this when you followed me as well. Like, I love it, right? So I ran outside. I was like, oh my God, trying to go, like, get internet. And I went, Martin Lewis has just followed me. I've got to follow him back. So Adam went, I don't think he's bothered if you follow him back right now. I went, Adam, he might unfollow me. It might have been a mistake. I have to follow him back. I ran out trying to get signal, and I thought, is this a scam? As one of my mates set me up because they knew that I would be like, It's like Mrs. Hint when she followed me. I literally like nearly wet myself as they follow me. You know, like just absolute Instagram icons. Just you just love. I just do love them. You know, I really like them. So I went to my phone and I was like, Martin Lewis. So yes, the man is an absolute legend, but he's so different to me. He's a financial advisor and he talks a lot about stocks and shares and how much the percentage is per gram. I'm more everyday tips, and I do think we're very, very different. And I think I'm sort of the I'm not the everyday girl version of it, and I'm not brainy like Martin Lewis. You know, he's unbelievable, and I'm not trying to be Martin Lewis. I'm just trying to be me. But yeah, I absolutely love him. In answer to your question.
Well, I saw that coming, but that was definitely a very good answer. Last, before I let you go, here at Vicky Pattison The Secret Too, we always ask our gorgeous guests to give our lovely listeners a couple of pearls of wisdom. And I know you've gave us so many throughout, and even like I've learned loads, and I'm really grateful for them. I'll be definitely keeping a closer eye on your page from now on. But I wanted to ask, with a little nod to your lovely book as well, what your secret is to saving yourself happy.
Oh, so I love that question. That's the only one that's got me this time. I think the secret to saving yourself happy is, if it's money related, is don't buy something unless you really, really, really want it. And if you do really want it and you can afford it, don't then feel guilty about it afterwards. And don't
Yeah.
worry so much about money, because really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter as much as people think that it does. Yes, you need enough to pay your bills, of course, but I think contentment is the most important thing to make us all happy. I think being content and being kind and being content and being happy within yourself, I think that is the most powerful thing you can have. I've not got that yet still, you know. I'm always still searching for something. That's what I want to get to one day, because I think that's worth all the money in the world, isn't it? Once you're content with your life and you're happy, um that's the most important thing to me, really.
Yeah, honestly, like I think there's been a real shift in recent years, and for years everyone's like was striving to be as rich as they could be, as successful as they could be. And like I'm again, there's absolutely no judgment for me because I have always wanted to be rich and successful,
Me
and
too,
I've
yeah.
made no apology about my desires to end up in a place that, would make me happy. But actually, and it was lockdown that acted like a catalyst for me reaching this conclusion actually. I realize like success looks different now. And it looks different for everybody, outside of that. But actually, success to me is going to bed like and going to bed like content, knowing that I was kind that day, knowing that I did something for somebody else, knowing that anybody who came into contact with me would say she's all right, her, no, just contentment is being surrounded by people I love and knowing they love me back. And I think there's definitely, and I don't know if it was pandemic based or what, or whether we're all just like growing and becoming that little bit better, but I think there's a shift and contentment is different now.
Definitely. And I wish I could be like my husband's brilliant like that. Like, he's not interested in cars, things, like to the point of I cannot tell you how uninterested he is. He's literally does not care what you do for a living, does not care about monetary things, would just literally meet you. Probably have no idea the sort of celebrity one would meet you too and be like, just literally judge you on. And it's that's what I fell in sort of love with him for, because of that, because that's what he always says. He said like happiness is contentment. Like, and my mum, where she's older now, my mum always says like she hasn't really got anything, but she's happy. Like, she's at home, she sees the grandkids, and sometimes I always think sometimes people never know what they want to do in life, because maybe they just want to just be happy and have friends and maybe have a dog or have a baby or whatever it is that they want, and that is their goal. Not everyone has to be. And I do think it is weird, because obviously 2 years ago I was on 15 grand a year. We was really struggling, hadn't lost a job, had the kids, and obviously doing Instagram and doing this has changed my life financially as well. I'm not going to ever lie about that. But do I feel any happier or less worried? No, I feel no different at all, and I don't do anything different. I've not got any different friends. All right, I've made some friends on Instagram, but I don't feel any different. So I
Mm.
would say it doesn't really change you. And I used to think, as you say, like, oh my
Oh,
God,
money's going to be the answer
yeah,
to all
if
your
I met
problems.
celebrities, if I walked a red carpet, if I had money in the bank, if I did this, if I could only be on the TV, if I could, I'd be happy, I'd be happy. But you're still always searching. So yeah, contentment is just, oh my God, so important. That is the most important thing in it, really. And it is hard. It is hard to find. And the trouble is, a lot of people say they find it when they're like 70, 80, and they look back and think, all them things I worried about.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, my mom's my mom's 64 and she's like, she openly says, like, I wish I knew like half the stuff I know now. It's just caring less what people think. It's focusing on what really matters. And unfortunately, benefit of hindsight and all that. But yeah, I think we're getting there,
We
girl.
will,
I
yeah,
think
and
we're
it's
getting
different. Like even some of the things you've said that you've worried about, there's like you're in your 30s and I'm in my 40s, and even that's the difference. But I would have worried about those certain things that you said at the start. So I think even another 10 years, you start to think, oh, whatever, you know.
Oh, babe, it's been such a pleasure talking to you today.
And
Thank you so much for all your top tips.
oh, you're
I'm gonna
so
be
welcome. Listen, thanks for having me on because I came in Vicky's inbox and wanted to be honest, to go for things in life. I don't care. See, I'm honest. I was like, Vic, one day, can I be on that? And she was like, yeah. To go for things as well. Another tip I'd tell you, don't sit there and wait.
Oh, well, you've been great, mate, and I'm really grateful you did reach out.
Thank you, Vicky. Thanks for having me on.